Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Alphabet Platinum Challenge. Today we're carrying on where we left off, going from F to I. I won't do much of an intro this time as we've already sort of went over all the rules. If you haven't seen last month's episode, I guess at this point it's been a while, last month's episode, then please go back and give that a watch to know the full context. But we're going to pick things right off with the first game, which is... Oh yeah, we're jumping straight into Ubisoft Open World Fatigue. Now me personally, I didn't have any experience with this game when it originally came out. My first Far Cry experience was actually Far Cry 4 on the Xbox One when it first launched. But I heard a lot of good things about this game. I saw the Metacritic score, I'm like, damn, this must be pretty good. And boy, was I disappointed, not gonna lie. I'm sure many of you have nostalgia for this game. I was not one of them, as I've just established, but... this is just the definition of the Ubisoft fatigue. We've got your gameplay loop of, restore tower, see part of map, go do mission. It's really, really straightforward, really, really Ubisofty. I get that at this point it was not overdone, and it was still sort of, kind of new and kind of interesting, but at this point in time, I really did not enjoy going back to such a basic formula. Story-wise, I really wasn't crazy about this game. Brody, or Jason Brody, or whatever the hell his name is honestly the most generic, mid to late PS3 generation protagonist of any game I've played recently. I am so bored of him. I do not care about him. Voss was easily the best part of this game, but he dies so early. Obviously, I can't not mention, the definition of insanity scene. It's great fun. But really, they just kill him off too fast. It's lame. Citra, his sister, I do not care for her. You're supposed to sort of make a choice of either go with her or don't. If you chose to go with Citra, you're just either really horny or really lonely, or both, because that is just not a real choice. If you chose Citra, I'm sorry, you're dumb. Trophy-wise, this game really did not have any surprises. It is beat the full game, unlock all the different areas of the map, and destroy all the outposts. There are a couple little annoying challenge trophies. Specifically, there is Rock Always Wins, where you have to throw a rock as a distraction and have 25 different enemies get distracted by it, which does not sound that hard on the surface, but the annoying part is that the game only renders it as part of that 25 if they walk all the way up to the rock. So if you throw the rock in a slightly bad spot that they can't fully walk to, or something like that, it won't count. And I believe, based on my experience, you can only get that same enemy once. So if you mess it up and he gets half distracted but doesn't fully go to it, you won't then be able to count him again by throwing a rock in a different spot. So that one kind of sucked, but I did eventually get it. And the other thing that super sucks about this game, and why if you want to platinum it, please don't be like me and go play the Classic Edition on PS4, not the original PS3 copy. Because that is, you have to do all of the co-op missions. I'm going to try and keep my co-op mission rant fairly short, but let me just tell you, these were the worst part of the game. They are horribly balanced and horrifically unfun. If you thought the gameplay loop of the base game was boring, try the co-op missions. They suck. They are clearly designed to be best at 4 players. I don't have 4 friends that have a PS3 and a copy of Far Cry 3, nor do I want to force 4 people to come over to my house, or 3 other people to come over to my house and play it split screen. So I did it split screen with my girlfriend, and let me tell you, it is terrible. We were suffering through them. They took at least an hour each mission, and there's 6 of them, and they were just horrible. And the way it does the split screen is so squished and low res, and I cannot stand the co-op missions. We did finally get through them, but they are just the definition of garbage co-op thrown in there for the sake of saying you can do split screen with your friends. I'm going to keep it at that, but please do not play this game on PS3 to try and plat it. These co-op missions are terrible. I'm so glad they're gone in the PS4 version. This game would easily have an extra point or 2 on the Platinum Enjoyment rating if it weren't for these co-op missions. But let me just get into the Platinum Enjoyment rating. Overall, I gave it a 4. I really did not enjoy this game that much. I thought it was kind of lame, to be totally honest with you. And for difficulty, I gave it a 4 purely because of the co-op missions. If you were doing the Classic Edition, like I've mentioned multiple times now, it would be like a 2 or a 2.5. It's not hard without those co-op missions. So, let's get into the next letter because I'm sick of this game, and that's going to be... Yes, it took me until God of War Ragnarok actually released to finally play this game. I have been eyeing it up ever since I got a PS4, but I don't know, nothing really drew me to it until I saw all the God of War Ragnarok launch stuff, and I was like, okay, I'll play this one. It won Game of the Year 2018, and honestly, I can see why. This game is incredible. I loved every bit of it that I played. It very much falls in line with a lot of Sony's recent exclusives, and that is that third-person, over-the-shoulder, heavily story-influenced game. But personally, I adore that style. I always have. It's probably one of my favorite things that they do. I really love all their games that are like that. Story-wise, I won't give anything away, because if anybody has not played this, please play it. But basically, you're taking your wife / Atreus' mom's ashes to the highest peak in all the realms. That's all I'm going to say. If you have not played it and you do not know the story, please play it. It's so good. The trophy list is fairly straightforward. It has no difficulty-based trophies, which I always love, unless you count the Valkyries, because that's basically an endgame extra difficulty that you have to do if you want to complete it, but they can be beat even on the easy difficulty to get the trophy. The collectibles were a little rough, specifically Odin's Ravens. I hated Odin's Ravens. If it was not for a tutorial, that would have been total hell. I spent at least, like, 2 hours of gameplay just running around everywhere, killing them. But that's besides the point. It does not taint the game at all. The game is so incredible. Other trophies-wise, there's also the Niflheim and Valdi's workshop area, as well as the Trials of Muspelheim. Don't know if I'm saying either of those right, but I think I am. The Trials of Muspelheim were really quite fun, and then you get to the Valkyrie at the end, and it made me want to die. I don't know about any of you guys, but personally, I found that the hardest Valkyrie of the entire collection of Valkyries. Speaking of which, let's talk about the Valkyries. They are sort of an extra endgame boss collection. There's 8 of them, plus the Queen. Some of them are really, really hard, I found, like the Muspelheim final trial. I thought she was the hardest, even more hard than the Valkyrie Queen. Now, I had upgraded myself a lot by the time I got to the Valkyrie Queen compared to her, but still, it sucked. Personally, I sort of did them in a random order. I highly recommend, if you're going to do it, sort of try and follow the order of where they are in the game. So, like, parts of the map, the ones that are earliest on the map, tended to be a lot easier. I ended up doing Kara, I think it was, last, and she was a joke compared to the other Valkyries. I'm guessing she was supposed to be kind of implied as the one I fought first, but I did not. I fought her last before the Queen. The Queen, quite hard. I think I died quite a lot to her, but she took less time, again, than the Muspelheim one. I don't know what the deal was. Maybe I just sucked when I fought the Muspelheim one. I only fought her, like, third. But, yeah, I didn't have too much trouble with the Queen. The Valkyries are really quite fun. It's a bit of a challenge, but I was playing on easy. They're quite a challenge, even on easy, but they're enjoyable. They're not pure suffering. Overall, though, God of War 2018, honestly, probably my favorite game I've done so far this entire series. Really, if I think back, like, don't think there's anything I've had more fun with. I would give it a 9 out of 10. So good for Platinum Enjoyment rating. And difficulty, I give it a 4 out of 10, purely because the Valkyries, even on easy, are not simple. So, let's move right on into the next game, which is... Infamous First Light was really not a game that was on my radar up until now, but when I finally came to looking for a game that started with I looked at the Infamous series and decided that the shortest one, that was the spin-off story with a female protagonist, was probably going to be the one I'd enjoy the most, so I decided to give it a shot. It is quite fun. Honestly, I had way more fun than I expected to with it. It's really enjoyable, story's solid, but the gameplay is where it really shines. It was so satisfying to run around the world, the movement, the fighting, and it being such a small open world made it feel so satisfying to explore every bit of it rather than just that unnecessary large open areas with something like Far Cry 3 where there's just a ton of empty nothingness space. I felt like everything I was doing in the infamous city was interesting. Everything in there was compact and focused. Trophy-wise, this game is quite simple. There's four main story trophies. A few collectible and challenge ones, which were super straightforward. I ended up actually getting those done before I was even halfway through the story. And then there are the arena challenge ones, which were probably what took me the most time overall. At first, I wasn't crazy about the arena, but once I was done all of the hostage ones, which in my opinion are worse than the survival ones, I actually had a lot of fun getting up to the final trophy, which was getting 10 million points, because that's one of the final challenges, and you need to complete all the challenges to get the single trophy for the plat. So that one took me a while, but I actually ended up having a lot of fun doing the survival areas. I would go at like half hour to 45 minutes total of just straight surviving, and it was actually quite fun. All in all, I probably have the least to say about this game, but it was also the shortest that I've played, I think, since Cat Lateral Damage. But what I did play was really, really fun. It makes me actually want to go play the other Infamous games at some point. I'm in no rush, but I will at some point, because I had a blast playing this game. So, that pretty much ends it off for today. We're gonna head on out and do the next set in a month's or so time when I finally come back and finish it. Finally all finished with this video. Now I can move on to... Wait a second. A, B, C, D, E, F, G... Oh, shit! Horizon Call of the Mountain. I debated quite hard with myself if I was going to do a full PSVR video. I still might think about it after I play some more of it. But honestly, this game blew me away. I have been a lover of VR for a long time. I had an Oculus Rift like CV1, like the original, which was I thought was quite good. Though now using better headsets, it feels like crap. This game honestly could not be a better showcase for PSVR 2. It is so beautiful, so incredible. The controls are quite fun. I'm still a little sad you can't flip off the machines. Like, you know, Pavlov, you can flip people off, and I love that. Unfortunately, you can't do that in this game. Maybe a little sad. Overall, though, seriously stunning game. I cannot believe something this beautiful runs in VR on the PS5. Story-wise, this game is pretty awesome. I really liked it because I love the Horizon universe. I'm really into it. Seeing just that little bit of Aloy in there, having it referenced that she's going to the Forbidden West, you know, it's awesome. You sort of see what else is going on in, you know, the Horizon Zero Dawn area of the world while she's off doing Forbidden West things. It's really quite great. I just love the little story. It's not like, you know, a 10 out of 10 game. It's not God of War 2018, but this is very, very fun. Gameplay-wise, the vast majority of it is doing climbing and then some combat sections. The combat sections feel more like mini boss fights at most times, though some of them are full-on boss fights, some of them are sort of little side areas, but mostly it feels almost like a way of breaking up the gameplay with little boss fights. I quite enjoy the climbing, so I know that that's not going to be for everybody, that a lot of the game is climbing, but I personally had tons of fun just moving around the environments. It feels really, really good. As you get later in the game and you get more of the equipment as well, it makes the climbing feel so much more cool. It really just makes you feel like a badass the way you can just throw around the rope dart and toss up the little grapple thing. It's super cool. Doing all the legendary climbs and just seeing the ways it uses the equipment is awesome. Now, I did most of the extra stuff after beating the game, and one thing, it's pretty much my only complaint with this game, was after you beat it and you go back and free play sections, your tutorials are reset. So it explains to you how to jump every time. It explains to you how to craft ammo every time. And I won't lie, that really, really annoyed me. Trophy-wise, this game, pretty straightforward. Beat the whole story. Do all the collectibles, which were legendary climbs, cairns, targets, and lore collectibles. I believe I got all of them. Then the other two trophies that, yeah, there was only two, that really make it difficult are the challenge trophies. So you have to do the um, arrow challenge, archery range, I don't know what it's called, shooting range maybe. You have to do that challenge, and you also have to do the obstacle course, climbing course challenge. Both of those are not, because it's a VR game, it's sort of this next level of challenge, because it's not just how well can you learn the gameplay, it's also can you physically endure doing this challenge over and over again until you beat the high score. Personally, I didn't have that much trouble with it, but your mileage really may vary on that section because it's going to be physically demanding, especially the climbing part, because you got to go fast. For the arrow section, what I found worked best was just quickly checking after every target I hit, every main target, if the gold target had popped up, because you basically cannot win that one without hitting all of the gold targets. So just basically watch the gold targets and hit them whenever you can. And then for the climbing section, first of all, you have to have all of the equipment pieces, because again, you have to do all the extra rings, which requires having all the equipment. So don't bother doing this one until you at least have the trophy that says, all your equipment unlocked. At that point, you have to beat it in under 155 to beat the top score. I personally did a 158, got quite a little disappointed, but I was like 20 points off. And then I did a 152, and I have not done it since because 152 was the best I could do. It is quite exhausting. There are a few other little trophies that involve doing specific things in combat, like destroying blaze barrels, or shooting ballistas, or shooting the Thunderjaw discs out of the air. All of those you will more than likely get without trying, but they're super easy to do in the free play mode. You just jump back in, do that one section, get the trophy, you're good. The collectibles are pretty straightforward, though it's quite difficult to find some of the targets. If you have trouble, personally, the only way I found to reliably find all the targets was to have somebody either watching a stream or with me in the room reading a tutorial and telling me where to look, because honestly, they're so easy to miss one or two, and there's not that many campfires throughout the area to save at and jump back to, that it can be a real pain in the ass to get that one you missed. Quite honestly, I could continue going on about this game for a whole 10-minute video on its own, but I won't. I'm keeping it relatively brief. I think I've gone over all the main things I wanted to say. Really, this is just one of the best VR experiences I've had to date. I love this game. I think it's top tier VR. I think it even beats out Beat Saber for me for pure enjoyment of the game, though I adore Beat Saber. I still have not played Half-Life Alyx. I'm really hoping it comes to PSVR 2. Please, Valve, be nice. But yeah, now we're going to do the actual end of the video. I gave this game an 8 out of 10 for my Platinum Enjoyment rating and a 3 out of 10 for difficulty. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this next chapter in the Platinum, Alphabet Platinum series. Next month, by the time I actually finish it, we are going to be doing J2M. So tune in then to see my next selection of games. Thank you for watching.